simple song, so we will manage with that. For passing the slides is this one. You will start. I will do the presentation first.
Bona tarda a totes, gràcies per venir. Benvingudes a Shared Cosmologies. Aquest cicle està comissariat per l'equip de CODA i té com a objectiu posar en diàleg estudis de diferents geografies per parlar sobre la pràctica arquitectònica en contextos complexos i sobre com habitar i dissenyar espais contemporanis. Cada parella d'estudis rep una llista de 15 paraules vinculades a un tema i després de triar-ne algunes les presenten juntament amb els seus projectes, reflexions i investigacions. És una manera d'explorar com conceptes similars poden generar pràctiques i narratives molt diferents segons el context i la manera de pensar de cada equip. And now I switch to English. Good evening, everyone. Today we have two incredible architectural practices in conversation. Mireia Luzárraga from TAKK, based in Barcelona, New York. And I'm sorry because I'm going to mispronounce your names. Sigmund Velkup, Lynn Murken, Jamie Lebleu, and Salome Sperling from Espace Aygo, based in Brussels. Thank you both for being here today. TAKK's work explores how architecture can foster more just lives by integrating feminism and ecology into spatial practices. Mireia is an associate professor at Columbia in New York, and together with Alejandro, they have been visiting professors in Tokyo. Espace Aygo is a collective of artists and designers practicing what they call a total design approach. In the first experiment, Marteau is a house, a workshop, a stage, and a manifesto. Every object, from the spoon to the sofa, is handmade, shaping not just matter, but ways of living, rituals, and interactions. Today, the topic that we have, we will explore inhabiting and new domesticities, thinking about how we can reimagine everyday spaces and create forms of life open to new rituals and ways of coexisting. So we're very excited about this talk. Thank you for being here, all of you. And I give the word to Mireia, who will start with this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Carmen. I'm very happy to be here at home. It has been like super interesting because like for the past 2 months we have been meeting all over the world. We were meeting in Brussels at your place, then in New York, and then now here and at my place. I'm like happy that you are coming also to my place, no? So literally, no, because you were like visiting our place this morning. So as Carmen said, I think like we are going to probably if you were here yesterday, it was the same like dynamics, no? Like we're going to from these like words that they gave us, we are going to pick up some of them and talk about them and so on. No? So first one is recycling, and it has to do with like I think some of you have come a few hours ago to our place, and I wanted to introduce this word with our place. No, we live in Hospitalet in an industrial space that we use for like to develop our work. It is a place. Our place is kind of a. We need this large space in order to test and to work on our constructions. But on the other hand, it is also a place where we have along the years needed to domesticate, and because of like our like agendas and our budget for doing this, we have been doing it in this kind of recycling way. No, so it's a house that we call the seasonal house, where all of the materials that come inside of the house are like have been itinerating in a certain exhibition or like work linked to cultural institutions. And once these works come back, we transform them into something else. And because we have needed to domesticate this space, we started building some pieces in order to like make it like a little bit more inhabitable, because since it's like a domestic, an industrial space, it has no heating and cooling and so on. So we needed to not just do a bedroom and a bathroom and so on, but a bedroom and a bathroom that could establish like certain parameters of comfort. So because we have a big space and we don't want to heat it and cool it, we have been like over the past years build this winter bedroom that is like using this material that is like very insulating material, and along with the bodies, with our bodies, it is very comfortable during the winter, or winter coats that is also very comfortable in the winter, or the summer house, the summer bedroom that due to its condition of being like lifted from the ground, like in the height of the windows, and it has like this kind of persiana alicantina that during the day prevents the heat from coming in. During the night, it like produces this cross ventilation. It is very comfortable. Or this bath that is also rethinking the parameters of intimacy and so on, and it works with this garden, with this tropical garden, or the vertical sauna, or our daughter's house that is made of more than 2,000 pieces, like small pieces that are also like recycled from other works. I don't know what the sound is again, and here you see some, or many other pieces of furniture that are like they come back again to our place.
Yeah.
We share is good.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be very funny because we kind of misunderstood the amount of pictures that we could put on the presentation. So we're gonna need to extrapolate on one, but it's good for imagination. I think it's important. The first word that we chose is home, and I mean, it just for us is probably the first word that we would always choose. It's we decided to make a home because it entails so many things at once. As a designer, as designers, designing functioning things, you realize that the functioning state is like proven by use, and a home is the best place to do so. It's also a home, a domestic space, and then it made us question, how can you change the domestic space that is so like structured and, how do you say, set in society? We are a family, but we're not a nuclear family. So it's also what we were talking about earlier this afternoon, like how do you make a home your home without only following a structure that already exists? Sorry, whoa, I even forgot to put the picture, the only picture we have. This is a corridor, which is also a very important place in the house that we will talk a bit about after. And it's Jamie cleaning the corridor. And it's also a point of home. It's this domestic space where you want to feel comfortable, clean as you want, and everything that we design needs to also have this, we need to have that in mind when we design these things, because yeah, cleaning the thing that is next to Jamie is impossible, but around the lamp is possible. So we have all of this, like, we rearrange and arrange, and everything is really just, when we put it at home, we use it on ourselves, and therefore you're the best person that can judge if something works or not. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add something. I don't know if I forgot something.
No, I think you did great.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know what's next.
Nature.
I don't know. Yeah.
Nice. We go for nature. Do we have to go word and word, or okay? Okay. Okay, nature. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, that's true. I know, no. Yeah. No. I think it's like the fact that you picked up the first word is home, and like to like like your whole exercise of living together and defining the nuclear family and so on. It's like it's so important and so contemporary, and we need to do things like that. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, it's a pity that I jumped to not as domestic spaces. I think the last word is more domestic, and yeah, I think nature is also like an important part of our work, and there are many definitions of nature, no? And also like there are many ways to look at nature, no? And we try to, when we are working with this term, to try to forget about the way that we understand nature in the Western modern perspective as merely kind of a romantic background that has no agency at all, no? So in many of our projects that you see here, we try to leave aside this very anthropocentric vision of what nature is. And so we have been looking to nature in the perspective of cats or parrots, or of the species that live with us in the cities, or even like define the most common definitions of romantic nature from queer perspectives, no? That you see in these projects, no? But I wanted to bring this one. There is a project that we did for the first feminist and art and architecture biennial in Orleans, in the FRAC in Orleans, which is a collection of architecture, the third one after the MoMA and the Pompidou, and where they asked us to like work in this abandoned space, that industrial space that would be the new headquarters of the FRAC museum, no? This collection of architecture. And they asked us to like do something like to build the first stone of like what would be the agenda for the next years on top of this space, but in a feminist way, no? So what we decided to do is that when we arrived to this place is not, it was not a tabula rasa, no? It was not like a raw space, no? It's not a blank paper, no? There was, because precisely of it being abandoned and the roof is damaged and the soil is damaged, like the floor is damaged and so on, there was something going on, this ecosystem that was crossed by soil and pollinators and microorganisms and vegetation and birds that we thought it worth speaking for them, no? And so instead of like what a traditional architect would do when coming to the space, like repairing the roof and like establishing a flat soil floor, we tried to do something like the opposite, no? Like just to generate something that would stimulate the growth of this biodiversity and even like turn it into like, or accelerate its growth, no? So we did this kind of soil care infrastructure that would travel along the space that due to many technologies that are like currently used in, for instance, greenhouses, like in the Netherlands, no? Like the growing bulbs and the UV bulbs and the irrigation systems and the fans and so on. So to control the climate and to like be able to accelerate the growth of this ecosystem. And that was the one that I brought.
Yes, thank you for that. We were today indeed in your space, and then you had these lamps above your desk where you say this is one of the growing lamps. And then you were saying at a moment you would all sit underneath this and have the lamps on to feel like a plant, feel growing in nature. I think it's very fun to use this as a human as well. So I guess I'll go into rituals then. As you see here, I think this is in our kitchen. And for us, the kitchen is a very important space actually of ritual, because I think we all live together, we make together, and I think it's really easy to take things for granted. But we have this one really ritualistic thing, is that every afternoon in our studio we would always cook together, and it's with us but also with people that have joined ever since, not necessarily our collective, but in the group of people we work with in our proximity. And this is one of the things that we find very important, is to kind of have this moment in which you can just freely discuss what you're working on, but also be really open to discuss your feelings, or just simple things as your days. And this kind of minor things are very important for the functioning of a collective, to have these kind of rituals. But I also wanted to talk a bit about another side of rituals in our work, because we make objects, but they always belong in space. And I think we like to tackle the kind of ideas of pre-existing works, like saying like a chair or a table, with the idea that an object can change its surroundings. So for instance, we have you see a little bit with the Espace car, I don't know if you would recognize it, on the table on the left, as why we're called Espace Aygo as well. So it's on the left bottom, and this is a table that Jamie made for his graduation, and it's really interesting because it's a big table with recycled materials found in a scrapyard. And in the middle there's a big mountain, and the idea is that when you sit around this table you can never really clearly see who is exactly opposite of you. So the dynamics of this space already change. You need to kind of look to your left and to your right, and kind of the interactions you have on this table, they become a lot smaller. And what I find really fun about this table, it comes with the lamp that is on top, and it's basically a root of a tree. And inside of that is hammered, is it steel, aluminium? Steel. And out of that comes branches with magnets where cutlery is on. So when you're sitting on the table and you want to have your meal, as we do a lot, instead of looking around in this kind of really classical way of seeing your furniture next to your plates, you have to grab it out of the sky to start this kind of almost ritualistic thing of eating in itself. From this idea of plucking the apples from the tree, you just do this with your knives and your forks and stuff like this. So I think in this sense, we like to kind of ritualize a lot of objects by questioning also things that already exist, the kind of notions we have around certain objects. And next to that also, we work as a collective, so we work the four of us. And this it's a challenge in itself. Like it's a lot of fun and it's really interesting to do so, but you notice that after a while you fall into patterns, and I think this is like this kind of rituals that you have together as making. I think it's interesting to keep on challenging this as well. And we do that with different forms also, which you don't really see on here, but on the right there's a cabinet. Yes, sorry, we don't have a great presentation, but I'm just gonna talk about it if that's okay. We have this big cabinet. Imagine like a cabinet like this, and there is two doors, right? But the idea of this was we got inspired by Kadavrevsky, who has this surrealist movement, who has this like drawing, folding paper drawings. Maybe you are familiar with this. The idea is basically that you fold the paper, and then one person starts, and you have a face, and then the other one just has the lines of the neck, perhaps, and then you continue. We tried to do a similar thing with making. So one person started with the top. Or the bottom would make more sense, actually, with the base of the cabinet, and without seeing it, just knowing where the anchor points would be, it was given to someone else, and then another thing was added upon this, and afterwards another thing again without seeing, and like this whole cabinet monstrosity came to be. It's a really beautiful thing. It's very like.
It looks like a theater for spices.
Yeah, it's a theater for spices. I always think about. What is it? The two grumpy men of not Sesame Street, but the other one. Like this, like with the puppets. No, the other one. No one knows this. Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Well, there's like two grumpy men, and they're always in a theater's chair sitting, and they're like. No one knows this. No. Okay. Well, it reminds me of that. But anyways, I'm going very much off topic. Anyways, I think like this, like it's for us, we have a lot of rituals that we understand and that are in society that we like to see and also to challenge. But not only with the objects themselves, but also with our way of kind of relating to those objects and making of those objects. So yeah.
Super. Yeah, like just commenting a little bit on yours. I think it's very nice that you introduced the the kitchen in the rituals, because also like speaking with you, like sometimes you know like working as a collective is not easy, no? Like it's like super different from us, that it's like very top bottom, no? It's like, no, it's like we decide something, we do it, and so on. But you like that you were very astonished that we don't have a kitchen. And we don't cook and so on. Whereas in your case, it's like your kitchen is the place where you, like your place for hospitality, also for receiving others. And it's not just the four of you living there, it's more people living there. And it's the moment where you negotiate no, the differences and so on, and you agree on things and so on. And the example of the Cadavres Exquisite is amazing. And something that is so amazing for me also is that I was there, and because you have to build your own things, and then you have to use them because you force yourself to, like, and they are functional. Like, of course, some of them you cannot clean them, but they are really functional. So they are working, like this is working. So, and even like for a kitchen, I find it so amazing. So, but still, no, like with all of the like with you being a collective, it's also easy to recognize you in like individual authorships in some of the places. So yeah. So fiction, I think we also, like, you also have the word fiction. I don't know if it's with the same approach. It's like yeah, like many times, because we are like in order to like acknowledge that many of the, in many ways or in all the ways modernism has been built up from colonial patriarchal perspectives, we need to use the like strategy or like of fiction in order to try to understand it and try to visibilize it and try to foster social transformation out of that, no? So in these projects that are like, yeah, again, done for cultural institutions that are following a certain like research that we want to bring to the audience, a discussion that we want to bring to the audience in order to try to foster social transformations, or like look at how we should or how we could approach the future or address some of the urgent topics that we have to address due to the like the different crises derived from climate change. We have to use fiction, no? And these are some of the works that are embracing that topic. The ARCA that we did in Barcelona for the Model Festival of Architecture, the Felaria Time Capsule, this in transit project that we did for Palau Robert and Solstice. And I'm going to very briefly explain ARCA. This map, of course, you know it because it's the plan of Barcelona, and everybody knows that Barcelona is like a super dense city, no, because of the two rivers and the mountains and the sea and so on, and it has a lack of green spaces. And with this kind of, no, we were invited in this festival curated by Eva Frank, Jose Luis de Vicente, and Beth Gali. They were to do an installation that talked about different like multi-species in Barcelona. So what we did was to build this kind of portable, like very like fictional, but in order to approach this issue of the vegetal species in the city of Barcelona, this kind of portable classroom that would that could be a typology in the city, but that could approach the idea that the way that we curate the plants in our cities, and more specifically in the city of Barcelona, is like done with very human-centered criteria based on how they look in fall and winter, or how much allergies do they cause, and so on. And that is like, or how beautiful they are, and so on. No? So, and that produces a fragility on their ecosystems and also a homogenization of the landscape. And what if we could propose other species of plants that could bring some added or like mitigate, for instance, the heat island effect, or open questions about food sovereignty or things like that. No, so how about if we incorporated pieces like species that would be edible, so that the children could like even like forage in the city of Barcelona, or species that could gather a larger number of pollinators, or species that are able to absorb more amounts of CO2 and so on. So we turn this into a classroom for kids to learn, and also like you cannot see, no, so all of these species, you cannot see the video, but we also like activated this garden, and like we could like move it around the San Antoni, Passeig de Sant Antoni, in order to also turn it into a celebratory space where people could like at least like talk about these topics, no? And of course, not because of this, but because of the and this is works by the landscape architects that were working with us for this project, Le Atelier. There are many experts advocating for this kind of shift in the city of Barcelona, and more and more we're seeing this transformation in the city, and also the citizens are like embracing all of these different species into the city.
Mic drop. Is this working? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna circle back first to what we were talking about about the kitchen. It's funny, we have a kitchen, and that's where we meet because we're 4 people. We're not lovers. We love each other, but we don't make love to each other. So we usually meet in the kitchen and in the living room. Okay, well, some of us do. And coming to your space today, it's, I mean, you had a lot of bedrooms, and I guess you're, yeah, so maybe that's where you sort of agree on things, and we agree on things in the more common spaces. And about the fiction, I think in the end we have the essence of what you just talked about is what I'm gonna talk about. But we maybe yours is more than a public space, whereas ours stays within the realm of the domesticity and the individuals, and all the individuals being invited into this space. So fiction for us is it's initially a method of transforming our lived reality. At one point, we realized that most of what makes up the world today is a bunch of constructed fictions that we all collectively believe in or don't agree with. And once you realize that you can then create your own fictions, this becomes a very powerful tool. And so that's initially what we try to do with our practice. We make up our fictions of how we want the reality to be or look like from the beginning for ourselves and hopefully for many others. And by materializing this and shaping this into the material world, it suddenly becomes the new reality. And yeah, I think that's what's most like magical and great about design. And also or not design, it's like everyone can do this. Like that's, I think, what's also what we wish with our project, that more people can realize that you have the power and the autonomy to change your at least proximate reality the way you want it to be. You don't have to sort of conform to the standards and the blueprints that exist. And of course it creates sort of skills, but not per se money. We had like no money, we were all on study loans, we just picked up stuff from the streets of Brussels and sort of made it into what we needed it to be. And yeah, and I didn't even show the picture.
Again, the kitchen.
Yeah, again, this is just, we were really like rational about your sort of brief of this talk. We were like, 1 picture, 1 word. But yeah. We? You can maybe say what is happening here. What is happening here is like many times a lot of people end up in our house, because initially a house for us is also not only for ourselves, it's a lot about inviting people to it and into our world and into this threshold that this house have become. And yeah, it's a big. It's just a big party.
Such a bath, and like, because I think it's a fiction. It's really beautiful. Like where your bath came from in the bathroom.
Oh, you can talk about it.
I can't. Okay, sure. So we have next to a kitchen, we also have other spaces in our house, like a bathroom, for instance. And the catalyst for this bathroom was actually Lina, who had this idea. And speaking of fiction, I don't even know if it's maybe the right word, but she was wanting to have a feeling of going back into the womb. And from that kind of perspective, she, as a kind of a fictionary method, she was like, okay, what is this feeling? How can I get closest to this? And she figured out through someone she used to be working with before that there's this material that when there's warm water, it gets a bit softer. So basically what she did, she worked her ass off for a whole year to make this beautiful bath that we have in our bathroom that is made out of this material, and it holds kind of by, like, it's like really clinical metals, right? Like
It's just stainless steel.
Rubber.
no,
Oh, you mean
sorry, the
metal?
frame. Yeah, the
that's
frame.
just stainless
Which
steel,
is it's really fun because it's kind of like it has so much influences, I think, by gynecology, the tools that they have there, and it holds this kind of shell of this bath, which is kind of the idea of the womb. And when you're inside of it, you really feel this warmth and this softness, and you can really truly relax. And it's another good example of how we potentially like work. The narration or the narrative of this space began with this bathtub, and we wanted to altogether kind of formulate the context in which this bathtub took place. So we started to make with the same materials and kind of the same fictional kind of feelings of material. We started to construct its surroundings with a big shower cabinet and a big sink and everything. And all of this truly, for me, really truly like kind of gives, as soon as I step in, I feel like I am in a fictional world. It's something that's not in any sense kind of has a kind of sense to reality, but just enough for it to be estranging, you know? So yeah.
If I may, I will just add something because the kitchen is here, so you've seen it twice now. The kitchen is also a very big fiction. Yeah. Because when we came in, the floor was green, terrible green, like the kind of green you want to remove. And we saw that underneath it was like terrazzo, so we're like, wait, and it's a very dark space, and there's the garden. And the garden is completely overgrown, and it's just this big window that just gives on the garden. We're like, no, but we need more light, first of all, so we need to get off the green, dark green. And it just felt like this cavey. It's also in the basement, so it's really like cave-like thing. And we could not remove the green because it was too intense paint. So we just made a massive drawing. It was nothing in the kitchen, and we were always anger grinder, pouring water on the floor and like grinding the floor, which was super dangerous because of electricity and fumes and shit. And then we ended up having a map, and we're like, oh my God, imagine we're the hobbits during the Industrial Revolution. And then we made the kitchen with the idea that we were hobbits during the Industrial Revolution. And so that's why there is like as much metal, obviously like stainless steel and things that you need in a kitchen, but also like wood and weird rocks, and like everything looks like flowers. And it's, so yeah, that's another like fiction that we applied. And I think in general, each room has its own like a story. And sometimes it comes from a story that we dictate before, and sometimes it comes from the object. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
Super. It's a pity that they don't see the bath.
Yeah. Normally
It's
we
so great.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'll just. Yeah, normally we. Wow, this was so much louder. Yeah, we're a bit tired of like all the images that we always show, and they're usually without people. So now we contacted these guys. They're making a documentary about us, and we're like, can you send us some stills, because we cannot talk about all of these like collective and community without having anyone in the picture. And here we are with only pictures with people inside, and you actually don't see our work. I'm just realizing this now.
But there is a photo of you in the bath that you are also using it in crowd, you know, like of course probably it's not the place where you disagree or you negotiate and so on, but it's also a very nice picture where it's not just that the individual activities happen on the bedroom and then the common activities on the kitchen, but sometimes you also like, because the bath is like it's like usually in domestic spaces, you're also very lucky because your house is super big, no? But usually, no, you like the baths and the kitchens, but more specifically the baths are on the darkest and less ventilated places of the house. And in your case, your bath is like, you fit very well there for you, and and you could like, you can like, that invites you to use it also in a crowd, no? And it's also like on like overcoming the modern ideas of like the intimacy and the flesh and the sin and the very Catholic kind of backgrounds there, because you have the big shower, and then you have like the bath, like the amazing rubber bath that I thought before coming that you couldn't use that, but you can use it. So it's amazing. And then the shower, it's so great. Super. So yeah, last word for us is flexibility, and coming back to the domestic spaces, I don't know if I missed a little bit the point, and these last two words I didn't do them on domestic spaces. In this case, in flexibility, we like traditionally, or like like as architects, when we listen to the word flexibility, we like very much associate it with a space that can become another space, like that the probably the furnitures are movable, or like that they are flexible in terms of like that they shrink, or that they can change of program, So but what I wanted to bring here was like a couple of examples on how we understand flexibility also in thermodynamic terms, like or how we in these two renovations that we have done in Madrid and Barcelona, we talk about flexibility, but in another with this kind of approach, So in both, like I'm going to speak just about one of them, the one on the left, which is the after house, and where we have been like trying to also like we are also like working in this, and in the previous like works you could see how we are trying to anticipate or to try to speculate on futures that worth living, or desirable futures in these current scenarios of climate change and other crises. And so and the first one, the seasonal house that you saw, it was like, it's also like a very like personal, a very particular project, because of course not everybody lives in these kind of spaces and so on. But in this house that was like needed to be functional because it was for a client that had to live there. So it was like speculative, but not that speculative. We also wanted to bring all of these kind of agendas that we have been applying to like other, like working with other species, or working in public space, or working with cultural institutions. So what we like some of the things that I wanted to explain in this idea of flexibility is the fact that we very intentionally we try to like rethink the very like traditional distributions that where all of us live, in the typology, like the heritage of the typology of the bourgeois house, like that is like a corridor with rooms, the rooms have a window, but they are not cross-ventilating and so on. And we wanted to reflect on other distributions that could also like, because all of these rooms in the bourgeois distribution are heated individually, and of course, depending on fossil fuel energies and so on. So we wanted to like try to do a dwelling in ecologic terms, in ecologic understood in intersectional way, where of course we would work with low embedded carbon materials, as we do the green architects, but also we wanted to not depend on fossil fuels at all, and to try to do a home that would not be heated or cooled. So that's what we did was to, instead of like this idea of distributing with corridors and bedrooms, we did this kind of a box inside a box inside a box, where like in the layers of an onion, the more central parts of the house would be less exposed to the exterior, therefore like there would be more stable in terms of temperature. That's the red part. The orange part would be a little bit less and more exposed to the exterior because it's like but very well insulated. So it would be a little bit colder in the winter, a little bit hotter in the summer. And then the kind of blue part that you see there of the thermal gradient plant would be more exposed to the exterior, therefore just used during the summer. No, so we would call the blue the summer house, and the orange the winter house, and the red the communal bedroom. And then of course all of the spaces of the house would have this cross ventilation so that we could also accommodate react to the weather conditions of outdoors. No, so another thing that we brought to this house is the fact that in order to save economy but save materials but also save carbon footprint, we just would act on half of the house, no, which is what we did on the winter house, and the summer house we would leave it naked, and then we would work on the communal bedroom. So as I was telling you, it's kind of this distribution on a house and a box inside of a box inside of a box that is mainly working with low emitted carbon materials like the boxes, no, like cork and wood that are that have absorbed a lot of CO2 during their lifetime, and that they also work very well thermally during the winter and even also during the summer. So this that you see is the winter house that would be like very comfortable during the winter and also during the summer. And this would be the summer house where like the materials can absorb very much the heat during the summer, and and there's this kind of corridor that has all of this vegetation that also helps regulating the temperature. And we also have this bath, also like defying the notion of as they're also doing like in the most like the luxurious parts of the house and the most ventilated parts of the house, also inviting to be used in a playful way and in a hedonistic way. And last, we also proposed for this home this communal bedroom, which is a typology that comes from other cultures, but also from an era previous to modernism, where we combine this typology combines the fact that again our bodies are also being used as thermal sources, as well as being effectively interesting. And also the kitchen of the house takes the central part of the house. These clients, they like to cook and socialize around the kitchen. And so compared to the other distribution where the kitchen was hidden and just the service just had a completely different entrance just for the service or for the women, it's kind of a inviting everybody to come and cook. And even it's like a part of the dining table and the working table, although some of the parts of the kitchen have to be lifted in order to make it functional.
Yes, the threshold. I think for us it's a very exciting concept. I think for us it's really important to position it as kind of the start of research. I think the threshold is a space politically the most important, because it's kind of the space where things blur out, the one can become the other, maybe the other links back to the other, but the other is not the same anymore. And for us, I think what really defines threshold in our work is kind of this strange space, what the guys have been talking about today, is in between reality and daily life. Because when we started this project and you are in this awe of the capability of a design space, and you are extravagant, and you are, you are expressive in your space. I do. So this is the corridor. It's a very expressive space. And then you have this, you have this throughout your practice, throughout your expression. And then you have daily life. And daily life is honest. You know, daily life is sometimes boring, you know? And this is like so funny how this like contradiction exists next to each other. Like, I have walked this corridor so many times with an absolute dread in myself, with absolute tiredness, absolute nothingness, you know? And that is daily life, you see? Like, so I think this is very fun because it is kind of like a critical criteria upon your work. Like, it's like, I have the intent of such expressions, I have the intent of stimuli, and I want to create objects throughout materials that excite me, but then in the end, there's like almost this existential ring, you know? And it's that threshold space where you realize, like, am I truly happy on a design chair? You know, does that matter? You know, like, is that really something? And then I think to me this is interesting because to me it's like, I think it's important to kind of like step yourself. Like you intend such, but you are aware of like all of its reality, you know, especially when you deal with fiction, because fiction truly exists. Like we've experienced it, especially in the bathroom, where you are surrounded by a condition of materials that are far from a social housing bathroom. So there is this ecstasy alive, like it's close to like a movie set, you know? So you start to believe and you're somewhere else. You have like maybe a light form of like escapism, like going on, like laying in this space. And then you have this, but then you also have it that, you know, I brush my teeth in the sink and I'm also just annoyed that I had to brush my teeth, but that's what I need to do because my dentist asked me to do this every day. So that's like, this I find very fascinating, and this I really enjoy. But yeah, that's yeah. And I think
we are obviously not architects, we are more designers. I was wondering, and it's a really dull question, probably all of you know this already, but this is to you, Marije. How do you get this image of all the flow of air? Like, how do you obtain this? Because it's really beautiful, and I was really like so interested to see how this works in space, and I would like to do the same because we have a really cold house ourselves.
I have to look for the, we have a, like, let me show you one image. Probably you see, I can't remember the name of the software, but I think it's here. I downloaded a software that you like put the 3D, like, I think it's here on the sauna. I used it for the sauna. This one. Yeah. I don't remember the name. I will send it to you. Okay. But it's like you put the 3D there and you put the sources of energy and you can know the flow of air. But then, yeah, then that drawing, I put it a little bit nicer on the Illustrator. But with this software, you know a little bit how is it going to work. It's like kind of a software for engineers. It's kind of to something that, yeah, and it works super. And you can do videos. Like I have a video with this of how the heat goes in and so on. It's super.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because we come from a design school that is like we didn't get necessarily very theoretical kind of expertise, very hands-on, which is really great. I really love this also because I like this idea of like having to experiment with everything and failing before something works. Yeah. And I think also sometimes you can fall a little bit in a pitfall of this is how it's supposed to go, so I will do it this way. I think we don't really have this. But sometimes it's really, for me, very fascinating. Like, oh yeah, there is ways to do this, and you don't have to like, you know, like figure it out yourself. It's so funny. But it's because your background is architecture.
We are architects,
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like my dad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I never became an architect, actually. Yeah, it's funny.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both. It's been really inspiring. And earlier when we were visiting Maria's home, and now I was thinking like how you both approach this like differently, like deductive and inductive, like trial and error, or designing it from the beginning, but like for people who live like in regular, boring homes, it's like super exciting. Like now I want to live like with 5 friends or have a place to work and tools in my home. And I think everyone is thinking the same now. I think we have time for a few questions. So if anyone has a question, now is the time. Anyone? Okay, if not, we can just go upstairs and discuss it with a beer. If you're okay with it.
Good idea.
Thank you very much. And we will continue with these sessions. Next week, we have Bear with Atelier Local on Thursday, and we have a lot of other activities that we can check on our Instagram and website. And thank you all for being here. See you upstairs. Thank you.
Thank you.